I'm getting to the final phase, which is putting down laminate at long last, and like all things, it comes with a goodly amount of preparation. So step one is really, and I mean really, thorough vacuuming the area before the underlay goes in, as any debris left will keep the laminate from lying perfectly flat. Now step two is the underlay. Because I've already packed up the subfloor quite a bit with several layers, so I went with relatively thin underlay. I think it's about 2 millimeters or something. So that's what I'm using. The reason why I went with this is because it's relatively easy to cut and it's also easy to measure if there's any corners or something that I have to work around. Now there are these little notches here along the side, and these are just adding about a centimetre where I don't need them. Just going to cut those guys off. Because this underlay has all these very nice and handy lines on it. I'm just pushing this into the corner. See which line gets closest into the actual corner. Just make a little cut there. Along which line to cut the underlay. It's right there. So now I have this corner cut. What I do now is I'm just going to pull this flat and then staple it down. So next I want to close the little gaps in coverage where the subfloor is still poking through. So just there in the door threshold and along that wall here, so I don't want the laminate that sits on top to kind of like dip or have any play. And this I'm just going to eyeball. So looking from here that gap there between my underlay and the plasterboard looks like about 2 centimeters or 20 mil. So I'm just going to take a 20 mil cutoff from here. So that's 2 of these rows. And the threshold, that's probably a bit more. So that one I'm going to measure out. Over that butt down, I'm going to close it in a similar fashion. I'll definitely have to use another tool here. So these, I don't know what they're called, door jambs. They're going kind of like all the way down to where the old floor level used to be. And what I don't want to do is run my laminate against the door jambs from the side. I want to run the laminate under the door jambs because that just looks cleaner than having a gap here. I'm going to grab myself a cutoff of laminate, put it down on another cutoff of the underlay here, and then just cut the door jamb, like run a blade on top of this, cut the door jamb out with 1 or 2 mil of tolerance, same on this side, so that I can slide a measure to fit piece of laminate under the door jambs here and then laminate the rest of the room up against it. I think I'm going to use a multi-tool for this. I think originally that's even what I bought my first multi-tool for. Now, trying to sort this out. So width-wise, it's more or less fine. Maybe take that, oh, see that? Nearly took my fingernail off there. That's a fresh blade now. So that fits in nicely. Okay, I'm just going to nip these guys up. That fits. And that fits as well. Now it's time to line these 3 up, stick the short sides together and then orient them on the piece of laminate that's poking out under the door there, and see how far away from the wall I am and what kind of pieces I need to cut there to fill those gaps. Right, so I laid out my first row of laminate here, and of course, just my luck that this room is a little bit longer than 3 of these boards, so I'll need to start cutting, and that means potential waste, and I'm not quite sure whether my remaining stock of this, which is now no longer available to buy online or anywhere that I can find, so yeah, it's going to be tight. The other thing is I need to produce yet more waste by trying to fit in these gaps here. So that's an easy 2 to 3 centimeters, and of course it's not a straight gap either. This is getting bigger over here, and then even more towards that wall there. So that's quite a good few panels that I have to cut up just to close this because of the orientation of this laminate when connected to the laminate in the hallway. So that's a bit of a bummer. But in terms of getting the board cut correctly, it's a simple matter of lining the piece up, tracing the outline of the door frame and transferring the measurements from the door frame straight to my board. Alright. just about able to make out on camera. So that piece slotted right in, and it does line up. I'm just going to put the next piece and the third one there again, measure out the second slab of laminate that's going into the door and along this wall here. Same thing again, off camera a little bit, just finished this first segment here. It's pretty simple, just whatever doesn't fit at the end of the row, cut off and start the next row with that. So now just have to move all of this crap here onto the new laminate to free up the space, vacuum once again, put down a fresh row of underlay, and then continue the whole process. Right, so I'm onto my last row here, the one closest to the wall, and that's not a complete row, there's only about a half row. Thankfully, I have 2 more pieces of laminate left that I'm completely out, and also another cutout, full length cutout of sufficient width, that's leaning right over there, to be able to close this up. I think when I ordered the laminate years back for the entire upper floor, I calculated this on the square meter. So I measured all the rooms, calculated the square meters, then selected the square meters needed for the laminate, and I think I added 2 packs, and it still turns out I just about managed with the laminate I've got. So I can't allow myself any measuring errors here. This needs to be spot on because I have no reserves. So with regards to the skirt boards, I'll need to mitre that corner there so that they meet each other in a 45-degree angle. Let's see if I can show this without too many handheld sound issues. That's a very clean cut, my goodness. Right, one more, and then I have one corner that I can already install. Right, and while I'm in the garage, I'm just grabbing myself my 18 gauge nailer. What's this? Probably got like 1 inch breadth's already in there. That's good. And then I can just quickly nail these fellas in. Alright, here we are. The floor is in. The skirt boards aren't, but I'm going to wait with those until the wardrobe is installed. And it's going to be a corner wardrobe of 1/2 meter depth. Going to be quite chunky, I think. The wardrobe that I went with is Pax from IKEA. I have a high enough ceiling to fit wardrobes that are 2 meter and 40 centimeters tall, but I do not have enough ceiling height to put these together lying down and then flip them up. So I'll have to put these together standing up. But I've done that before. It's not that difficult. Yes, putting IKEA wardrobes together is not the most interesting thing ever. I'm leaving a time lapse in here though to show that putting an 8-foot wardrobe together standing upright and on my own is absolutely doable. Being 6.5 foot myself, or 2 meters, helps a bit with that, of course. It's easy mode, but I wouldn't go quite as far as calling it cheating. The wardrobe is pretty much completed. The only things I haven't added yet, because IKEA had run out of them, was the handles that I want. I don't really feel like driving all the way up to Dublin for those things. But for now, this is pretty much good for use. There's a lot of storage here. On the side, and while on breaks from working in the actual room, I also went about getting the bedroom door and frame and architrave sanded, primed and painted. then painted again. The jambs and architraves went back in the same way as the skirt boards did, with the help of my friendly nail gun, to avoid having to cover 6 or 8mm screw holes or heads, although I didn't film that last bit. So here's the bedroom in its semi-completed form. The wardrobes, bed, nightstands, chest of drawers. That's Harvey. So there isn't any light in here yet, apart from that naked bulb there. No nightstand lamps, no blinds, nothing in terms of decoration, but you know, priorities. Now we did have a test sleep in here just to see what it's like, and I think it passes. But I think for the intents and purposes of this series of videos, or for this build series, I'm gonna call it there. Again, the rest is just decoration. Get some door handles on that, and again some pieces like a lampshade and, you know, picture arts and all that. It's nothing too exciting and nothing that needs to be on here. So I'm gonna call it there for the last bedroom.